Being a kid during the Pokemon craze of 1999 to 2000 was the best. Those 2 years were jam-packed with back-to-back releases of Pokemon video games, trading cards, and movies. The Pokemon franchise had already been going strong in Japan, so by the time it came to America, there was an explosion of Pokemon stuff already waiting to be released. It seemed like every single month there was something new and exciting coming out for Pokemon fans to enjoy. It's so nostalgic to think back to those years and know that I lived through the launch of a worldwide phenomenon that would still be going strong today. So for context, the Game Boy Pocket came out in September of 1996. This was basically the equivalent of the Switch 2 today, a video game console that you could play anywhere. I was lucky enough to eventually get one probably around when I was 8 years old. 2 years after the Game Boy Pocket came out, Pokemon Red and Blue came to the US in September of 1998. The timing of their release was a little unfortunate because the Pokemon games were in black and white and the Game Boy Color came out just 2 months later. I got a green one when I was about 9. So after the games came out in '98, the 2-year Pokemon craze had its kickoff in January 1999 with the base set of Pokemon cards. Not only were they fun to collect, but you could build decks with them to battle your friends. But at that time, I hadn't even heard of Pokemon yet. Then in March of 1999, my cousin Zach gifted me one of the Pokemon games for my 10th birthday. After looking at the box, I actually decided I didn't want it. Why would I play a black and white game when I had a Game Boy Color? I secretly wanted to return the game and exchange it for a color game instead. But Zach somehow convinced me to open it because he wanted to trade Pokemon with me using the link cable feature. Zach and I would play at our grandma's house and on road trips as we discovered all 150 pocket monsters together. I still remember when one of us caught the first Pikachu in Viridian Forest and the other one said, "Oh man, you're so lucky." And I also remember when we got to Mount Moon, we had no idea what the fossils were, but Zach took one of them and I took the other. Whenever we would have sleepovers, we would take turns naming Pokemon until we named all 150 from memory or couldn't think of any more. Being a Pokemon trainer back then was such a fun experience because we didn't have the internet to look up stats or anything. We just had to go in blind and build our teams on the fly unless we could convince our parents to buy us the game guide. At some point, I eventually learned that there was a 151st Pokemon named Mew, and that just blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? I'm a Pokemon master, but there's this hidden Pokemon I never even knew about? So Zach and I got a Game Shark and used dial-up internet to find cheat codes and catch a Mew. There was also some kind of rumor about going behind a truck in Vermilion City to find a Mew, but I think that was a hoax. I eventually also found out about Missing No, and that just blew my mind as well.
What's that?
From there, I quickly got into the anime and Pokemon cards. I still remember where I was when my sister and I each got our first packs of base set cards. For her rare, she pulled a shadowless Gyarados, while I pulled a computer search. My friend Andres and I would go to Toys R Us and Books A Million on Saturdays for the Pokemon League, where we would trade cards with people, earn gym badges together, and build our collections. We quickly learned how to play the game and then built decks for ourselves. I remember reading in a Pojo's magazine about the Haymaker deck, which relies on beefy basics like Electabuzz, Hitmonchan, and Scyther. That strategy made a lot of sense to me, so I built my own version and called it the Shredder. I have good memories of spending hours in my room just testing my decks and strategizing. Then in June of 1999, Jungle came out, which was the second set of Pokemon cards. I was still getting into Pokemon cards at this point, so I don't have any personal memories of this set coming out. But I do remember in that same month when the franchise finally released its first game in full color, Pokemon Pinball. The game cartridge was a lot larger than regular Game Boy games because it had a slot for a single AAA battery to power its built-in Rumble Pack feature. And in July, Pokemon Snap came out on the N64. It was an entirely new kind of Pokemon experience, centered on taking pictures of them in the wild. You could then take your memory card to a local Blockbuster store and use this special kiosk to print out real-life stickers of the photos you took in-game. I remember my Nona taking my sister and me to Blockbuster just to print out those stickers. It was pretty epic. Around that same time, there were rumors that a sequel to Red and Blue was in development that would introduce an entirely new generation of Pokemon. Then one day, my friend Brandon shows up to school with this. I was like, what is this? Is this real? What Pokemon is this? Why is the holo different? I just stared at the card, studying it meticulously while grilling my poor friend about where he got this mysterious artifact. He explained to me that cards came out in Japan first before being released in America months later. That Japanese Southern Island set came out in July of 1999, which was the same month that the leader of my Pokemon League handed me this. My first promo card. What set is it from? Why does it have a black star that says promo on it? What does that even mean? And the card had a mysterious line at the bottom where the set information was usually printed. Little did I know, that would send me on a quest to collect the whole set of Black Star promo cards. Then in October of 1999, an entirely new set of Pokemon cards came out, Fossil. I remember my mom taking me and my sister to Toys R Us the day of its release. We waited in a long line before the store even opened, and one of the employees handed everyone this pre-release Aerodactyl. I didn't quite get it, but I gladly added the card to my collection. When the store finally opened that morning, we bought a few packs, and I think I opened 2 holo mucks. Let's just say I didn't have the best luck when it comes to cracking packs.
It's not fair! I'm the one with the badges!
I guess my friend Andres had all the pack opening luck. I remember one day he and I each got a pack at Books A Million. I probably pulled another computer search, but when Andres opened his pack, his eyes opened wide and he almost fell backward as he went. I thought he was just being dramatic, but had to ask, "What is it? What'd you get?" Yep, he got a Charizard. As I leaned over to look at it, he said, "No, don't touch it." Then he put it straight into a sleeve without it ever being touched by human hands. Not only did the Fossil set come out in October of 1999, but so did Pokemon Yellow. It was basically the exact same game as Red and Blue, except your starter was a Pikachu that followed you around on the overworld. You'll also notice that the game features subtle tints of color, which was a much appreciated upgrade from the originals. You'd think that 1999 couldn't get any better for a Pokemaniac, but it did. In November, Pokémon the first movie came out, which is also known as Mewtwo Strikes Back. My mom took me and Andres to the movie theater, and it was packed out. But while we waited, we were each handed one of these 4 gold-stamped promos. I, of course, did whatever it took to get them all, and still have all 4 today. And the actual movie was awesome. It told the backstory of Mewtwo, my favorite Pokemon, and how human scientists had created him by using Mew's DNA and cloning techniques.
Mewtwo? Am I only a copy? Nothing but Mew's shadow?
That level of sci-fi was just mind-blowing to my 10-year-old brain. The movie also revealed a second-gen Pokemon, Donphin. It was super exciting to see a new Pokemon and speculate about what the next generation would be like. During that same month of November, Burger King offered these in their kids' meals. They were made of thick metal and were coated in real gold. I think you did have to pay a few extra dollars to get one, but it's still safe to say they don't make kids' meal toys like they used to. That wraps up 1999 for most Pokemon trainers, but I still had a little more to unwrap that Christmas.
Scyther, Articuno, Zapdos, Hidot, and Charizard!
Whoa, Charizard!
The next year, after humanity survived the Y2K scare, February brought Pokemon fans Base Set 2. This set contained remastered versions of cards from the first 2 sets, along with Cosmos Holos, which I like better than the original Starlight Holos. Then in March, Pokemon Stadium came out on N64, which was the first game where you could have Pokemon battles in 3D.
There, it's a hit! Oh, it's down!
Then in April of 2000, the Team Rocket set came out. The darker art on these cards still remains some of my favorite to this day. And Dark Vileplume's Pokemon Power was just disgusting. That same month, Pokemon TCG came out on Game Boy Color, which provided a fun way to play the card game when you didn't have anyone to play against. The game also came with this exclusive GB stamped promo Meowth. I of course got the game. By July, the second Pokemon movie came out in theaters, titled Pokemon 2000: The Power of One. While I waited in line for this movie, they handed out these promos of the legendary birds, as well as this mysterious Egyptian Mew card, which doesn't even look like a real Pokemon card. It was truly one of a kind, and I made sure to keep all of these cards in my collection to this day. And the actual movie turned out to be just as epic as the first one. It told the story of Lawrence, the collector, who caught all 3 legendary birds in order to summon Lugia, while accidentally disrupting the balance of the entire universe in the process. It was so cool because in the movie, Lawrence had the exact same Egyptian Mew card I had just been given, and that's what got him started as a collector.
how it all began, and how I'll begin again.
In August of 2000, the first gym set came out. Then in October, the second one came out. These sets featured Pokemon that belonged to specific trainers like Brock or Misty. By this time, I had finally completed collecting the entire base set, jungle set, and fossil sets, so I decided not to collect the gym sets. But I did pick up this Rocket Zapdos for my deck, as well as this Rocket's Mewtwo, which was the first Pokemon card to ever have 3 attacks. Then in October, the highly anticipated second generation video games finally came out, Gold and Silver. Sequels rarely live up to the originals, but these games surpassed Red and Blue in every way. They were in full color. They had a roster of 100 new Pokemon. It had a time system for night and day cycles with time-sensitive events. It introduced shinies with Red Gyarados, and so much more. It was so exciting to finally have a new Pokemon world to explore. Then to top it all off, in December of 2000, the Neo set came out. Before the set came out in America, I had seen some Japanese spoilers at some kind of Pokemon card event, and the leader of my Toys R Us league had built a deck that used the all-new Dark Energies and Japanese Sneasel, a card that became infamous for its ability to one-shot anything in the game.
Sneasel makes a clean hit with its metal claw.
At that Pokemon card event where I saw the Neo spoilers, I saw an older teenager who was cutting up Pokemon cards with an X-Acto knife to create his own monsters like this. That gave me the idea to do the same for myself at home. At the time, I was cutting up cards that were only worth a few dollars, but today they'd probably be worth hundreds. So there you have it. That's what it was like to be a Pokemon trainer in 1999 and 2000, with one exciting Pokemon release after another. And while the Pokemon craze did tone down a bit in the following years, it has always held a special place in my heart. The franchise looks a little different now that I'm in my 30s, but it's still going strong. So when my stepson started getting into Pokemon, that 10-year-old version of myself came back from 1999 to join him. Even though our childhoods took place decades apart, it feels like we're just two kids making memories together during the peak years of our childhood. Thanks to Pokemon, 1999 and 2000 were truly some of the most unforgettable years of my childhood. But for my kids, those memories are being made today. I just feel lucky that this guy from 1999 gets to make those memories with them.